Hey everyone, this is Sacredforce, and this is the gameplay tips for Rise of the Ronin. Some of them are life quality changes that will make your playthrough easier, while others are details that can greatly affect your gameplay experience. As someone who has reached over 1000 hours into the game, Rise of the Ronin can be highly overwhelming to process every information for new players, especially when it comes to the depth of the combat, which is why I'm sharing my gameplay experience that I wish I knew sooner, and many other tips that new players need to know. When starting a new game, we will be introduced with 3 difficulties, ranging from easy to hardest difficulty: Dawn, Dusk, and Twilight. One thing you should know about this difficulty selection is that we can switch between easy and hard difficulty anytime whenever we want to. For example, if we start at Dawn difficulty and the gameplay is starting to feel too easy, we can increase the difficulty in the setting. Or if the difficulty feels too hard, we can lower the difficulty, and changing the difficulty we restart to the last checkpoint that we were previously at. So we do not have to worry about choosing the difficulty for the whole playthrough, since it can be changed whenever we want to. It's also fine to swap difficulty if we have to, since it can help you practice against a boss that is too hard to fight by adjusting the difficulty. Changing the difficulty will also affect many things in the game. Playing on easier difficulty will reduce enemy aggression and damage to provide a fun action game experience. Playing on Twilight, however, will make the enemy stronger with new attack patterns. What we get for playing on harder difficulty is better loot, so if you are into intense, difficult combat, Twilight is for you. In this section we get to choose our class to start with. Like the difficulty section, we do not have to worry which class to dedicate to for the rest of the game, since we can change our starter class whenever we want to after reaching a few points of the story. You will need at least an item called Brush Kit to reset your stats, which can be found from a merchant. Each class comes with preset stats and skill sets that specialize on different aspects, such as strength for combat, dexterity for assassination, charisma for deception, and intellect for negotiation. Most importantly, they focus on different main stats, which will benefit certain weapon types, as we can see from the recommended weapon section. Like if we choose, for example, the killer class, we start with more strength stat, and using weapons like katana, udachi, and greatsword will benefit more from that class with more damage. And to get more strength stats, we must learn more skill data from strength section. That goes the same for dexterity, charisma, and intellect section. If we are not sure which class to choose, we can use the beginner class to build our own stats and skill set. This option will allow you to explore different options by giving free skill points to spend on. What I can recommend to get first is the grappling hook throw in the dexterity tab. This skill allows you to finish off an enemy from afar when they are out of stamina, and it can also deal massive damage when you throw at another enemy. We can practically finish 2 enemies at once with this skill. The last class, called Unarmed, is for those who are willing to start the game without extra stats or skill set, which means we will start with lower base stats and no skill set compared to other classes. The only thing we get from choosing Unarmed class is extra luck stats for slightly better loots. It's basically for those who want to make the journey difficult and to have a better drop rate to make up for the difficulty. For the settings, there are some options we may want to look into depending on our preference, but there are certainly a few features that will make our life easier for our gameplay experience. In Control tab, we want to activate auto collect items, since there will be a good amount of loot to gather from defeating enemies and resources. Without that feature, the game will force you to load everything with an animation, and you will have to load them out manually. So we prefer to remove that extra step if we want to load everything smoothly. If we are starting to get too many gears in our inventory, we can use auto disassemble to clear off your inventory. I recommend at least superior quality gear to dismantle them while keeping higher rarity equipments. From what I've gathered so far, there will be equipment sets that only exist on higher rarity, and we need them to keep our gear updated. One last feature to consider is to increase the number of loadouts. Each loadout has 4 slots for consumables, tools, or buff to equip, and having 3 sets allows us to have more space to slot more items. It is useful to have them prepared to use during combat. In Rise of the Ronin, we do not always have to fight by ourselves. For main missions, I strongly recommend bringing NPCs whenever it's possible. They know how to dodge enemy attacks fairly well and to assist you. We can even take control over our allies to avoid being targeted as our players and take advantage of the enemy, who is focused on our allies by hitting them from the back. Combining attacks with your allies by controlling all of them at once can significantly make the fight easier. Besides making the fight easier, fighting with your allies will help building bonds with them, which allows you to learn their combat styles and obtain rewards. Fighting with your bare hand may sound hard at first, but it is a good way to start playing the game. Of course, each weapon type has their own proficiency to level up. The more we use a weapon, the more proficiency we gain, and reaching a certain level will give bonus stats. Compared to other weapon types, we get the most benefits with the fist by getting skill points, which means more skills to learn. Make sure to focus on strength and charisma stats if you are planning to use a playstyle for a while to increase your fist damage. After all, the combat styles has no disadvantage against anything. There will be certain attacks that will deal non-lethal damage, such as blunt damage. Unlike most attacks, they will have an impact effect when hitting an enemy. This will usually happen when using a non-lethal attack, such as hitting with a sheath or the handle of the katana. Some attacks may also include punching or kicking the enemy instead of using the weapon. The downside of this attack type is that we cannot gain blood gauge when hitting an enemy, and having this penalty can be difficult to fill the blood bar. What makes non-lethal damage different is higher ki damage in exchange of lower damage against an enemy, and they receive more ki damage when they block a blunt attack. It is one reliable way to use blunt damage against a guarding enemy, since we do not gain blood gauge when the enemy blocks our attack. Even if we use a real weapon, for example, our attacks will not fill the blood gauge. Wooden weapons are an exception. We can still gain blood gauge with those weapons. Upon finishing an enemy with a blunt damage, the enemy will not be killed. Instead, they will stay injured, which is a nice touch to avoid killing anyone. This can be possible by using grappling hook, wooden weapons, and bare hand combat. The blood gauge is a valuable feature to recover ki during combat. The more attacks we land on an enemy, the more blood we cover your blade. But they can easily lose their purpose in some situations, like blocking an attack. The heavier the weapon is, the less blood gauge is lost along with the ki. The best way to keep the blood gauge full is to avoid guarding an attack, so we can either evade an attack or perform a counter strike. Another way to lose blood gauge is exposure to water. Of course, any form of water is not there just for the looks. It can affect your battle by cleaning your blade covered in blood, reducing your blood gauge in the process. It could be swimming around the lake, evading the water, or even being exposed to the rain. The weather can also be against you. As fluffy as they may look, they can be a good source of currencies such as silver coins, which can be used to buy stuff from the market and trade merchants. You pay them with money to send them travel around the world and bring them back some items. The more money you spend on them, the better the items they will bring. Also, by paying them at a high price, we will get more chance of encountering Pilgrim Dogs in the open world, which can be a great way to farm silver coins. Just don't forget to pet them. The dojo is a great place to practice against bosses in the game. It's also a good place to fight against any bosses that we have encountered previously in the main story or bond missions, especially those who appear only once in the entirety of the game. We can learn how to counterspot bosses' attack patterns or master our combat styles with different weapons. Certain bosses in the dojo will have combat styles to learn from the reward list, and defeating them allows us to learn or level up their combat styles to learn new attacks. There are many things to do in the open world, ranging from exploration to bond missions. It is best to do every activity such as carrying camps, fighting treasures, and saving cats, to collect rewards and skill points. As much as there may be a checklist to do in the open world, I can assure that some of these activities allows the players to learn more about how the world is changing in Bakumatsu era. If you only want to experience the story closely how Japan unfolds, without any minor activities, I recommend completing bond missions, side quests, unique encounters, and a scene of interest in the photographic studio. Those activities will give the most of the story experience that Rise of the Ronin can provide. That is the end of the gameplay tips for Rise of the Ronin, at least for our new players. For a more starter combat guide related, you can check this video from last year to learn how the gameplay works. I will have more guides on the way to show off what Rise of the Ronin is capable of, with more gameplay mechanics and cool montage, so stay tuned for that. If you have anything to share, comment down below and let us know what you think, and I will see you in the next video. Take care.